Well, a Kentucky man is probably about to have the most expensive stay at a Banff hotel of his life. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned YouTuber, and it's going to be a short video. Oh, there's my neighbor. It's going to be a short video today because I am celebrating my 13th anniversary with my wife, and we are going golfing for the first time in 6 years. 6 years, I think. It's our 13th year anniversary. We were dating for 8 years before we got married. We have been together for over 21 years, and I am very excited to go golfing. It seems Canada is back in international news, and all for the wrong reasons. A Kentucky man was arrested on suspicion of having violated the Quarantine Act and might be sentenced to upwards of 6 months in prison and a fine of 750,000 Canadian dollars. Canada, and more specifically Montreal, made international headlines when we temporarily rerouted our raw sewage directly into the St. Lawrence River while we were maintaining our water purification plants, and there were nothing but condoms floating all over the water. It was disgusting. This story seems to be about a naughty Kentucky man who was in Canada and not doing exactly what Canadian law required, breaking the Quarantine Act not once but twice in one day. Now, for those of you who may not know, the border between Canada and the US has been closed to non-essential traffic as of March 21st as a result of the coronavirus Schmendrick. The borders were originally closed for 30 days, but that seems to be a constantly renewing delay, and they are still closed as of today until September 20th. Closed to non-essential traffic with one exception, that being people traveling from the lower 48 to Alaska or from Alaska to the lower 48 by car. Which brings us to the story. Kentucky man accused of breaking Canada's COVID-19 rules faces $569,000 fine, US dollars. A Kentucky man accused of breaking Canada's coronavirus rules twice could be forced to pay a $569,000 fine, that is $750,000 Canadian, spend up to 6 months in prison, or both. John Pennington of Walton, Kentucky was initially fined $910 US, that's $1,200 Canadian, on June 25 after an employee at a Banff hotel where he was staying suspected he was violating Alberta's coronavirus regulations. Royal Canadian Mounted Police Corporal Tammy Keeble told NPR. Pennington was told to stay in his hotel until leaving the next day, but the following afternoon, police spotted his car at a local tourist attraction, and he was arrested and charged with violating Canada's Quarantine Act. Now, I have actually done a vlog breaking down Canada's Quarantine Act. In the early stages of this coronavirus Schmendrick, I discovered we had a Quarantine Act, and I was curious about it, and I dissected it and did an entire vlog on it. I'll link it right here. Give it a watch when you have a few minutes. We will look at different measures that could be necessary to enforce these measures. We'd rather not. I can tell you that we haven't taken anything off the table. From the Emergencies Act, new and existing measures under the Quarantine Act, Trudeau continued. We have a Quarantine Act? Suffice to say that, like a great many other countries, Canada has a Quarantine Act, and the powers it gives to the government are extensive, and the penalties it can impose are severe. And just to give one example, which I suspect is probably the most applicable to this particular story, let me read the following passage. Emergency orders. Order prohibiting entry into Canada. 58.1. The Governor in Council may make an order prohibiting or subjecting to any condition the entry into Canada of any class of persons who have been in a foreign country or a specified part of a foreign country if the Governor in Council is of the opinion that A. There is an outbreak of a communicable disease in the foreign country. B. The introduction or spread of the disease would pose an imminent and severe risk to the public health in Canada. C. The entry of members of that class of persons into Canada may introduce or contribute to the spread of the communicable disease in Canada. And D. No reasonable alternatives to prevent the introduction or spread of the disease are available. And what happens if you violate Section 58 of the Quarantine Act? Well, let's go to Section 71 and find out. Contravention. Section 71. Every person who contravenes subsection 6, 8, 34, 36, let's just skip 58 or 59 or subsection 73(2) or the regulations is guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to a fine of not more than $750,000 Canadian or to imprisonment for a term of not more than 6 months or to both. So any American traveling from the lower 48 to Alaska or from Alaska to the lower 48, you probably want to take the most direct route, and that is what the border agents tell you to do anyhow. At the border, the Canadian Border Service Agency directs Americans to take the most direct route through Canada to get to Alaska or the lower 48 states. They are prohibited from visiting national parks, leisure sites, and tourist attractions, and they must undergo quarantine if they stay in a hotel. Visitors must also display a hang tag in their vehicle with a mandatory departure date. Other than the existence of the Quarantine Act and the severe severe fines that could be imposed thereunder. I did not know any of this. Pennington's presence in Canada first raised eyebrows when a staff member at the Banff hotel where he was staying reported to police that he was likely violating the quarantine order. Pennington was fined $1,200 and police directed him to stay in his hotel room until he left the next day, according to Keeble. But he didn't leave Canada the next day and instead opted to do some sightseeing. Police were called to Sulphur Mountain, which features a sightseeing gondola in Banff National Park, when someone alerted them to a vehicle with Ohio license plates. And for those of you who may never have been to Banff National Park, it's absolutely beautiful. I was actually there with my wife 15 or 16 years ago, but we were staying in a tent and not at the hotel. When or if the borders ever open up, you absolutely should visit Banff National Park. It is absolutely magnificent, but until then, the tourism industry is going to take something of a hit, as the article notes. Even though the tourism industry has taken a hit from the border restrictions, Canadian leaders are focused on avoiding another wave of the coronavirus in the country where fewer than 10,000 people have died from the virus. And although that number does seem extremely low compared to the US, you have to bear in mind that Canada has a population of 37.5 million compared to the United States, which has a population of about 330 million. So that is the vlog. Canada has some serious quarantine laws with some serious penalties, and now you know, and as they say,
and knowing is half the battle.
With that said, if you like my videos and you like my content, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a comment in the comment section below because it feeds the algorithm. If you want to support the channel, all of the support links are in the pinned comment. We've got PayPal, Subscribestar, Patreon, YouTube, membership, merch. Politics ruins everything. But for now, I'm gonna go golfing with my wife and see how many balls I can lose. Take care of yourselves, stay safe, stay healthy, and now you know your vlog. Peace out. Booyah.